Alright, so Blizzard dropped an Overwatch mobile game, and the first thing it makes you do is a tutorial where you're fighting PvE null sector bots. But jokes aside, after watching the beta footage, I think a lot of people are misunderstanding what Overwatch Rush actually is. So that's what we're doing today. Oh, and also quick note, for gameplay I'll be using footage from a YouTuber called Destro32, who recorded a bunch of the beta so we can actually see what the game looks like in practice. I will link his channel down below. So, is there a market for Overwatch Mobile? Let's jump into it. Let's start with what Overwatch Rush actually is. First, Rush is a separate game, built for mobile, not a one-to-one port like other games, for example Fortnite or Genshin Impact. It's a top-down hero shooter, 4v4, designed around short matches and mobile controls. And the second you see it, the comparison is obvious. This is way closer to Brawl Stars than it is to regular Overwatch. Not in a disrespectful way, just in the lane it's aiming for, with top-down camera, quick matches, and simplified control scheme. Honestly, that's probably the smartest decision they could have made, because a one-to-one Overwatch port on touch controls would be miserable. So pretty much Rush is Overwatch, but reimagined as a mobile arena brawler. And here's the part that in my opinion people aren't talking about enough. Rush is progression driven in a way the main game just isn't. In the beta you don't start with a full hero kit, you start with basically one skill. And you unlock the rest by leveling that hero through, I believe it's called Hero Mastery. And yeah, that's not the only layer, because each hero has 2 mod slots and 3 talent slots. I believe we can all agree that this looks kinda similar to Stadium. Or maybe just a light version of it. Even the icons looks basically the same. So the gameplay isn't just pick hero and fight like regular Overwatch. It's more like pick hero, level them up, unlock the full kit, customize with mods/talents, and then keep grinding mastery. I mean, that's a very mobile first structure, and it explains why Rush could hold attention long term if they balance it well. When it comes to modes in the beta, right now we have 3 of those. We have Free for All, Control and Nano Grab, which is a brand new one. By the way, I love the fact that they're adding new modes specifically designed for Rush. It makes it way more distinct from the main game. Another key point is that you unlock heroes by playing the game. So it's not like the classic Overwatch where everything is unlocked day one. In Rush you have to grind your way through to play specific heroes. Oh, and yeah, there are also loot boxes in the beta build. And now the important stuff, we still don't know the final monetization, and that's probably going to decide everything about the game's long-term reputation, because it's a known fact that mobile lives and dies by how aggressive the store is, how fast progression feels in general, and whether spending creates power gaps. So at least right now we can only say what we can see. That there's a progression, skins and loot boxes, but the business model is still a question mark, so definitely be wary of that. Okay, so let's get to the overall reception of the beta. The first regional test is happening in the Philippines, which honestly makes a lot of sense knowing that there is a massive mobile audience over there. Reception-wise, it's early, but the vibe I'm seeing is curiosity, some skepticism, but also surprise that it doesn't look like a cheap cash grab. When it comes to negatives, many people are talking about how the game feels a bit too slow. You know, players are mostly waiting to see how fair is progression, and how pay to win does it get, which honestly is exactly what you would expect. As for heroes, the roster in testing includes many familiar faces you would expect to see in a mobile game. And yes, Kiriko is also here, who would have guessed. But speaking of heroes, we have one very important detail to discuss. Doomfist has a beard? And yep, people immediately noticed. Now, to be clear, this could mean literally nothing. It could be, you know, Rush-only design choice. But Overwatch has a history of using other external media to set up future changes. So I'm not saying it's confirmed redesign, or maybe potential rework, which, by the way, would be really funny if it actually leaked through mobile game. I'm saying it's, you know, interesting. And it's exactly the kind of detail Overwatch players latch onto, because we're all secretly addicted to those lore breadcrumbs. Now zoom out. Why is Blizzard doing this? Because mobile is the biggest gaming market on the planet. And if you have an IP like Overwatch, with a huge amount of recognizable characters, You just simply don't ignore that market. Rush is Blizzard trying to expand Overwatch universe, with main game being on PC and consoles, and mobile game for a totally different audience. And hopefully story and media connecting everything. And the most important part is that this isn't trying to replace the main game. It's trying to grow the reach of the franchise, which honestly is really cool. So, if Rush works, it could be huge for Overwatch, even if you personally never touch it, because a successful mobile spin-off can easily bring new players into the Overwatch universe. And most importantly, it can fund more ambitious projects across the franchise. And we can all agree that Overwatch is one of the few shooter IPs where the characters are strong enough to carry a spin-off. So, is there actually a market for this game, and who is this for? Here is how I see it. Rush definitely isn't meant to convert hardcore PC players into mobile mains. The real demographic is mobile first competitive players. I know it sounds kinda dumb, but this group actually exists, believe me. Those are people who already play games like Brawl Stars or even Mobile Legends and want another game like this on the market. We also need to take into consideration the fact that mobile market is huge in Asia, which is exactly why starting with a regional test like the Philippines makes a lot of sense. So, if Rush nails things like fair progression, good match pacing, a reasonable monetization model, and if the game will be just fun in general, it can absolutely find a market. Now, here's the part we have to be real about. Mobile is a brutal market, and it's insanely competitive. You don't really get to be kinda successful on mobile. You either become a massive hit, or you just fade out. And in the worst cases you shut down within a year. I mean, we've already seen this happen to big games. For example, Apex Legends Mobile ended up shutting down less than a year after launch. And honestly, that's a real risk for Overwatch Rush. Because even if the gameplay is somewhat fun, mobile games live and die on a few things like monetization, progression pacing, and even content cadence. The last one is especially important for mobile games. Because if content slows down, the player base drops quick. But here's the optimistic part. Overwatch has something most mobile shooters don't. An iconic cast and a world people already care about. And yeah, thankfully Rush isn't trying to brute force a PC game onto a phone. It's built around mobile pacing from the very start. So if Blizzard keeps progression fair, updates consistent, and most importantly, if the game will be just fun to return daily. If that's the case, Rush could genuinely carve out its own space and end up being a big win for the franchise. So yeah, that's where I'm at. And now I want to hear your take. Will you play Overwatch Rush? And do you think there is a real market for mobile Overwatch? Or is it just doomed no matter what? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.